Hi, this is Arts Alive, and my name is Courtney Terry. My guest today is Maggie Bowman, local metalsmith, silversmith, jeweler, artist. I mean, magic person. I would also, just looking at all of this beautiful.
All sorts of stuff.
Yes. So this is incredible. Maggie, how long have you been doing metal work, and how did you, we'll just talk more about these. But
I'll tell you what, believe it or not, when I was 14, I learned how to weld and solder with Mr. Bickle, my 9th grade FFA teacher. And I'm actually still friends with him, which is fun. He's down in Grants Pass. But it never occurred to me that I would be doing this. I was a middle school teacher for 30-some years, and I decided to learn how to repair jewelry. And then I went, I've done this before. I like the fire, I like the torch, so let's see what I can make. I took classes in Newburgh from my friend Cindy Proctor. She was teaching for Portland State. And I just kept taking classes, and it just became so much fun that I couldn't stop, and that was about 19 years ago.
Oh. And so you have a studio out of your home.
I do have my own home studio.
Yeah.
It's my car fits in one side, and then the studio is the other side. It gives me room for a few people to come in if they want to do some activities or something, but it's a tight squeeze. we call it, in the business garage studio, we call it a garudio.
Oh,
so
thank you. That is
now you
inside.
Know.
Yeah, now I
know.
know. I'm gonna use that.
Like garudio.
I did see a few of those during the Art Harvest
tour,
which you were also involved with.
Yeah, that was really fun this year. We had a great year. Lots of visitors. It was our 30th year.
Yes.
And it was my 10th year to be on the tour.
And for you, as an artist, I guess just what's that like, having that kind of, how often is that the only time that you open up your studio kind of to the public?
To the public, yes. It's interesting because I do give some private lessons. I work with some kids after school at the high school. The funny connection with Art Harvest Studio Tour is years ago when I was a 5th grade teacher, I would bring 60 to 90 kids on a tour because they paid for school buses, and I would see this beautiful silversmith, Jim Hayes. He's a jeweler in the community, and he looked at me one day and said, "Why don't you have a studio?" He knew I was taking classes, and I said, "Oh, I don't have all the tools." And he goes, "Here's what you do. You just start buying tools, garage sales, estate sales, and you throw them under your bed, and when you can't fit any more under your bed, you have enough for your own studio." So it worked, and it took me about 10 months. And the fun thing is, the last couple of years, students have been coming to see me. So it kind of became that full circle where Jim Hayes encouraged me to do this, and now I'm encouraging other people to make jewelry.
That's so wonderful. Well, and I feel like we have a really good community for that.
We do.
Support. So I'm so curious about the methods that you use, especially the color on the dragonfly. How do you do that, Maggie?
This is a fun one. I took a class last winter from a friend here locally who's an expert at cloisonne. And that's where you take all the itty-bitty wires and you put them in a certain pattern, and then you do layers of glass, and it goes in the kiln multiple times. It's hard. It's really difficult. And then after that, we played with something called champlavé. Oh. You have to go, champlavé.
Oh, yes.
It's a fancy word. Where you etch a piece of material, leaving some divots in the metal. The chemicals leave the little holes, and then you very carefully put colors in with the tip of a paintbrush, and it goes in the kiln once. So no little wires. You etch it, you put the color in. It's almost like coloring, and it comes out like that.
Oh, that's incredible.
So this is my new favorite technique. It's been really fun.
And when did you take the class?
I started this about a year ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So the fellow that taught me, Joe, does beautiful knife blades, and the handles have cloisonne in them. So he's here in the community.
Oh, that's so.
He's one of my metal buddies.
And so, is that kind of one of the ways that you, as an artist, kind of just do you kind of seek out those new opportunities to experiment, or do you find they happen to you?
I do. You're never done learning this craft. Just when you think you've mastered one technique, it's like, oh, then I can do this. And it's like a tool in your tool belt. You don't know when you're going to need it, but boy, when you need it, you've got it.
Oh, wow.
So that's the cloisonne, and I'll be doing more of those. A friend and I went in together and bought a secondhand kiln.
Nice.
We haven't put it together yet,
right?
But that's the plan. But my favorite technique is etching, and this pendant that I'm wearing is a really clean, clear-cut example of etching, and that's a matter of putting a resist on a metal, like it can be. This was a sticker.
Oh.
Anything that keeps the chemical and liquid from going in under the design you want can be a resist. It can be fingernail polish. It can be a sticker. It can be little strips of tape you cut off. Anything that will stick to the metal. It can be rubber cement.
Wow.
So we've had a lot of fun trying to figure out what works as a resist and what doesn't. But if you can imagine a design, you can put it on metal. So if you can draw it with a fingernail polish and a little paintbrush. That's how I did all these little trees. I don't know if you can see the trees.
Yeah. Fingernail polish and a
hoop. Go figure. So that's on sterling silver, and you use for etching you use a chemical called cupric nitrate, and then you run electricity through it.
Whoa.
So you have to know the difference between the cathode and the anode. It's kind of like charging your car battery.
Yes.
And you have to be very careful. So it's a fun process, and I've taught it to people. This summer I had an opportunity to teach some of my high school jewelry students how to etch with copper. Oh. And that's not quite as dangerous because you just use salt water.
Oh, okay.
And batteries. So it's a more user-friendly, but.
Well, and in terms of the materials, what, I guess, are there materials that you find that are your favorites? Because they, not necessarily easy, but maybe fun to use, or?
Well, yes. Silver, my business is MB Sterling Designs. So sterling silver is my primary metal, but I do love copper. These are copper, half silver. And I also love bronze. Bronze is a fun metal that has a little bit of a rosy, it's not brassy, it has a little bit of a rosy sheen to it. But I like to combine the metals. This was fun. This was literally a bunch of scraps. So sometimes I sit down at my workbench and I challenge myself to make something with just the scraps that are there. So those are fun. They have kind of a Western cowgirl feel.
Yeah, and
I think they want to go dancing.
That's why I like how it's not like the lines aren't straight. I like how
they're not perfect, but you know, none of us are.
Absolutely not. And tell me about your silly ring.
Okay. I do have a silly ring on today, and this is my princess. This is a black opal from Australia.
Oh, wow.
and the sweet little face is carved bone from India, but it has hinges. So my hand bends.
That's cool. That's so silly. That's really cool.
And if I ever get tired of it, I can pull it apart and just have that as a ring or that as a ring. But it's been really fun. This was a prototype. I've made another one since then, but this is my favorite.
And how, I guess, where did the hinge inspiration come from?
I actually found a heavy metal articulated ring at Goodwill once. And it was plated brass or something, but it had 4 or 5 joints and this big claw out on the front. If you put one on each finger, you look cool, wild and crazy. But I got the idea and I thought, well, what can I do? So the very first thing you have to do is engineer the 2 parts that fit your fingers. That's the first step, because if that isn't comfortable, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, nobody's going to wear it. So it has to be comfortable, it's adjustable. So
well, the space, giving the space for the knuckle, and that's so cool.
Would you like to try it on?
Yes, may I please? Oh my goodness. Oh wow. And it does. Oh yeah. You wouldn't even, it's there, but it's so
looks
comfortable.
Uncomfortable, but it's really not.
No, and every single, oh my goodness. Thank you.
You're
letting me try it on.
You can borrow it. Maybe I should rent it. I could do that.
The Library of Things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know about that.
We can talk about it.
So, and of course, every jeweler that I know is an avid rock collector.
Yes.
So rocks are really important. This is called Larimar. It's found in the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a really beautiful color. And then this one is a purple stone called charoite.
Oh.
It comes from Russia.
Oh, cool.
So.
And I love the details on that's incredible.
I was able to buy some wire that was already twisted, so I used that to decorate around the outside of it.
Oh, wow. This is incredible.
Now, I have to talk about my Bigfoot pendant because
it's here.
I love the guy. I came from Grants Pass, and our school mascot was the caveman. And I've been up to the Oregon Caves multiple times. But this fellow I have a soft spot in my heart for him. I've never seen one. I may have heard one, but this isn't the show for that discussion. But he's fun, and I love people's stories about what they think they've heard or seen, and it's just for fun.
Yes. Well, we need to have fun.
We do. Life is short. Have fun. So.
And if any folks were interested in seeing, do you have your work out in the community or a website?
I do have my work in McMinnville at one store at Inner Oasis.
Oh, okay.
They've had my work there for a couple years now, and that's the only store I have my sterling silver in. I do have another line of jewelry that is aluminum. It's the type of jewelry designs I'm working with my high school kids, and that is at Melissa's Magic Attic.
Oh, okay.
So,
but
she has my aluminum jewelry.
And then your website?
I don't really have a website. I have an Instagram. It's MB Sterling Designs, and I show a lot of processes. I'm a retired middle school teacher, so the process is really important to me. And I decided during COVID that, these are fun, these are cool, but maybe it's just as important to leave good jewelers on the planet. I kind of had an aha moment one day sitting there all by myself, and I went, oh, if I'm going to be around, 20 more years, I might as well pass on these ideas and skills. So a little over a year ago, I'm working with Mr. Ford at the high school, and he lets us use his metal arts fabrication shop. And so there's a small group of dedicated jewelers that meet with me every Tuesday.
That's wonderful. That makes me really happy to know there's a whole classroom full of new jewelers.
They are so creative. I show them one skill and they go crazy and do 9 things with it. So
that's amazing.
One day I taught them how to rivet different metals together, and one of them was drinking an energy drink, and she held it up and went, "Wow, look at the cool designs on my energy drink can. Can I cut this up?" So they're making jewelry now by decorating each piece with riveted colors and shapes from their cans.
That's so cool.
It's pretty funny. They never cease to amaze me. But they will be selling their jewelry at the Metal Arts Gift Show in December at the Heritage Center on December 14th.
And we will be talking about that as well. But for now, Maggie, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your jewelry. And I'm glad I can say I spotted Bigfoot today, so it's done. But thank you.
You saw the big guy,
I did. Yeah. Thanks. My name is Courtney Terry, and this has been Arts Alive.